For 10 years, he kept the darkest secret about Meghan Markle. Now he's finally breaking his silence, and what he's revealing will shatter everything you thought you knew. This isn't revenge. This is truth, and once you hear it, you'll never see her the same way again. Stay with us. Welcome to Royal Daily Report, your trusted source for the latest royal news and updates. I'm your host, and today we bring you an important story that's been making waves. For almost 10 years, Trevor Engelson stayed quiet. He moved on with his life, built something new, and never once tried to come back into the public eye from his past with Meghan Markle. But staying quiet has its limits. And according to people close to him, he reached that limit the day he realized the world only knew her side of their story, not his side. And definitely not the version his family had warned him about long before their marriage ended. For years, people asked questions about why Trevor's family stayed in the background during the relationship. Why they became distant. Why they seemed unsure. Why their friendliness never matched Meghan's charm. Now, with Trevor finally opening up about his experience, the reason is becoming very clear. This isn't a story about being jealous. It's not about holding grudges. It's about a family who saw what their son couldn't see and a truth that wouldn't stay hidden. And it all starts in a place Trevor never expected. The moment his family felt something was wrong behind closed doors. According to people who were close to Trevor at the time, Meghan shared something with him that would change everything he imagined for their life together. She supposedly told him she could not have children. For most couples, news like this would start long talks, crying, questions, visits to doctors, something. But Trevor didn't do any of that. He didn't push her, didn't argue, didn't ask for second opinions. He simply believed what she said, because loving her meant accepting the future she described. He changed his dreams right away. He changed his expectations. He changed his heart for a life without children. And through all of it, he never used what she told him against her. He never brought it up in fights. He never let it become a problem between them. He trusted her completely, totally, without any doubt. But years later, when Meghan had not one but 2 children with Prince Harry, that old moment came rushing back to Trevor like a broken mirror finally falling apart. Sources say Trevor wasn't angry. He was confused, lost, hurt, in a way that stays under your skin and never fully goes away. That moment became the first real crack in his understanding of the marriage. A crack that had been waiting in the dark. A truth he never questioned now became the biggest question of his life. And that question slowly led him into the part of the story no one could ignore anymore. Every marriage ends in a different way, but very few end the way Trevor's did. Quietly, suddenly, and without a single word of explanation. After nearly 10 years together, after years of flights, giving up things and hoping Trevor didn't get a final talk, he didn't get a chance to ask why or what changed. He didn't even get a phone call. Instead, one day, a package arrived at his door. Small, light, ordinary looking. Inside that package was Meghan's wedding ring. No note, no message, no goodbye, just the symbol of their entire relationship. Dropped into a mailbox like it was nothing more than something being returned. Sources close to Trevor say this moment hurt him more than any fight ever could. Not because of the ring itself, but because of what it meant. She had left the marriage long before she mailed that ring. She had made her decision quietly, privately, without including him in the ending of the story they once shared. And when Trevor opened that box, everything his family had sensed now made painful sense. The emotional distance, the imbalance, the uncomfortable feeling they couldn't quite name. The marriage wasn't broken in that moment. It had been broken long before. The ring was simply the proof. Up to this point, Trevor had no clear answer for why Meghan drifted away. The mailed ring told him she was done, but it didn't tell him why. That understanding came later, slowly, shockingly, through whispers from people who knew Meghan before her royal life began. According to these sources, years before Meghan ever met Prince Harry, she supposedly created a vision board mapping out the life she wanted. Vision boards are usually full of dreams, goals, motivations, photos of vacations, or careers people hope for. But this one was different. People who claim to have seen it say that right in the center of the board was Prince Harry. Not as a celebrity crush, not as a fantasy, but as part of a clear planned future. Word from people familiar with the board describe it as a plan, not scattered dreams, but a laid-out path Meghan wanted to walk. She had studied the royal family. She had planned possibilities. She had imagined herself not just beside a man, but inside a completely new world. And suddenly, Trevor understood the change she had felt years earlier. Meghan wasn't drifting randomly. She wasn't lost. She wasn't confused. She was moving towards something big, something royal, and he was simply the chapter she needed to close. If the vision board raised questions about intention, what supposedly happened next raised questions about planning. When Meghan met Prince Harry for the very first time, insiders claimed she arrived wearing Princess Diana's favorite perfume, a scent deeply connected to Harry's childhood memories, sadness, and the emotional pain of losing his mother. Smells are powerful. They can pull someone back in time in an instant. They can make a person feel safe, familiar, connected, even if they don't fully understand why. To Harry, that first meeting felt like fate. Warm, comforting, strange in a way he couldn't explain. But to people who knew Meghan well, it felt different. They insist it wasn't an accident. It was on purpose. A small, quiet choice, designed to create emotional impact, not manipulation in a loud or forceful way. Nothing pushy or obvious, just a quiet understanding of how memory works and which part of Harry's heart to gently pull. And that moment worked. Harry didn't just fall for Meghan. He fell for the feeling she created, a connection tied to the mother he lost and the comfort he wished for. When Trevor learned this detail years later, according to people close to him, a painful pattern clicked into place. The quiet calculation he felt in their marriage, the steady drift away from their shared life, the sudden ending. Everything he once viewed as confusion now looked like intention. Because if Meghan was this careful with Harry, how careful had she been with him? Don't forget to subscribe to Royal Daily Report for more breaking royal news and updates. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. For years, Harry stood beside Meghan like a shield. He defended her against the press, the palace, and every person who questioned her story. He believed he knew her better than anyone. Believed the world didn't understand her. Believed her past had no shadows. But when Trevor finally broke his silence, something changed. According to whispers from people close to the Montecito home, Harry didn't react with anger. He reacted with confusion. Deep, quiet confusion, the kind that doesn't come with shouting or arguments, but with long pauses and private corners. Sources say Harry pulled back into himself. He stopped immediately trying to defend Meghan. He stopped explaining things away. Instead, he began replaying moments in his mind, interviews, conversations, choices, trying to fit Trevor's revelations into the version of Meghan he thought he knew. One insider claims Harry said something that cut through the silence like a knife. Stop blaming the palace for everything. That one line showed more than any argument ever could. It showed exhaustion. It showed doubt. It showed a break in the complete trust he once had. For the first time, Harry wasn't just listening to Meghan. He was noticing the cracks, and all of it began with Trevor, the one man who truly knew her before the change. What the world has heard so far, the supposed confession, the emotional imbalance, the mailed ring, the plan is only part of the story. Whispers from people close to Trevor suggest he is sitting on much more. Supposedly, Trevor has kept the most damaging details private, out of restraint or respect, or simply because he didn't want to think about the past. But according to insiders, that restraint is fading. There are quiet mentions of plans, a memoir, a second sit-down interview, documents, receipts, timelines, personal letters, and moments he has never revealed publicly. People close to him say Meghan's attempts to silence him legally, socially, or through pressure behind the scenes may be the very thing pushing him to finally tell everything. This isn't a man chasing fame. This isn't a man seeking revenge. This is a man who spent years carrying the truth alone and now sees the world finally ready to hear it. And if everything he knows were to come out, the story would no longer be about silence. It would be about exposure. This is where everything comes together. The past, the present, and the truth that refuses to stay buried. Trevor's silence was never weakness. It was never fear. It was never avoidance. It was loyalty even after the marriage ended. It was dignity even after the ring came in the mail. It was closure even when she chose not to give him any. But the moment he finally spoke, the story began to shift.